Thank you for the good introduction. Good morning, everybody. My name is Faisal Ali Rashid, Senior Director of Demand Side Management of the Vice Supreme Council of Energy. I'll be speaking within my short time. I'll be giving an overview about the Dubai Integrated Energy Strategy 2030, giving more focus on the demand side management, which basically fits into our overall strategy and also within the national strategy, within also our vision of the Emirates in terms of 2021 vision as well. DSM, no doubt, is a big subject, a big topic, and it's been growing significantly in the last years and also in the last decade and more. It's been picking up a lot of interest across the market sectors due to so many reasons. It basically creates green jobs, it basically promotes green procurement, it basically creates energy efficiency market as well. It improves the air quality as well. It reduces greenhouse gas emission. So it's proven to be bankable in terms of partnering with the private sector, between government and private sectors. And it deferred many infrastructure energy supply costs as well. I'm showing within this slide the overall picture of the current energy situation and what basically initiated our action. So if you look at our economic growth, not now, since the last 2 decades, we know that Dubai has been with the growing population, with the growing of economic growth in the Emirates. So we know that economic growth is connected to the energy supply, energy infrastructures as well. And we will continue to basically expand our infrastructure with respect to energy to support the economy. And we know very well that DSM, which is demand side management, being part of the Dubai Integrated Energy Strategy, plays a big role in terms of energy security, sustaining energy security, in terms of also moderating the energy consumption as well. So we have used the DSM through the last decade in order to basically save the cost of the supply and also in order to reduce energy consumption for water, electricity, and fuel as well. If you can move to the next slide. Our main guiding principle, as I mentioned before, is Dubai Integrated Energy Strategy 2030. But there are other also flagships and interrelated strategy that basically support the guiding principle. It has more detail. It has specific roadmap, including DSM strategy, the carbon abatement strategy, and Dubai Clean Energy Strategy 2050. Gas strategy 2030 as well. So we're using also our local strategy is to support the national strategy so we can achieve our higher sustainability goal and the horizon of 2025, 2030, and also 2050. If you can move to the next slide. And Dubai being a net importer of energy supply, fuel, we still depend on natural gas, to a large extent. So we realize that we definitely have to have a strong written roadmap. We have to have a game plan. We have to have innovation platform. When it comes to strategy, we need to share our strategy with the private sector so they know where to invest, what to invest, so they can transform the energy efficiency market, help us also create green jobs as well within the local market, within the UAE market as well. So we believe the DSM is basically a smart move. with respect to the whole energy management. I also forgot to mention when we say 30%, throughout the past we have dependent on fossil fuel basically, and everything, including energy supply. Fossil fuel basically was part of every project, whether it is clothing, whether it is petrochemical, whether it is construction or pharmaceutical. But when it comes to energy, we're slowly basically shifting away from the fossil fuel. We're diversifying our energy mix. We're cleaning our energy mix as well. We're basically increasing the penetration of renewable energy by 25% in 2030. And also we are reducing the dependency on the fossil fuel by 30% during 2030. And also we're reducing the consumption by 30% versus business as usual in 2030. So this will be equivalent, will translate into absolute reduction of primary energy use equivalent to 19 terawatt hour and 47 billion imperial gallon when we compare it to business as usual in 2030. Next slide, please. So I mentioned 30% reduction in the demand side management or in the consumption. This basically what we call it a DSM house basically describe the whole program. You know, we have initiative. We have 11 initiatives. Each initiative has a scope, a clear scope with the responsibility matrix, who need to do what and what needs to be done in what year as well. This is also described within our strategy. And we have also targeted element as well that we need to achieve, whether for electricity and water and also fuel. We have enabler also for each program. Okay, we know that certain programs have to be policy oriented, so certain programs have to be capital project oriented. Some of them depend on awareness, some of them depend on issuing a directive, some of them also needs government to take the lead, to what we call governing by example. So throughout the last decade, I think it's proven to us that investment in energy efficiency of building, if we compare it to the peak capacity infrastructure built up, I think it's proven to be much lower. If we do a comparison also of energy efficiency versus any other fossil fuel supply, definitely energy efficiency across any mathematical chart will be will cost a lot less. And we can move now to the next slide. We have used our successful journey and positive stories with respect to implementing this initiative and implementing our roadmap to advocate our higher ambitions. And we have also made a lot of saving to the government in terms of energy supply, and also the customer also saved on their bill throughout the past because of the initiative, because of the saving, because of the awareness as well. We have translated a small piloted project, what we call governing by example, into bigger, large-scale rollout project. For example, I can tell you that Green Building Code started in 2010 only for government building to basically comply with the new code for 3 years, what we call a grace period, and then it shifted to the compliance, which is required for all building in Dubai, and it's proven to be successful in terms of saving, in terms of converting building to more greener building, in terms of also reducing the consumption for water and electricity. Also, we have building retrofit program or directive. Same thing, we have issued a directive mandating all government entities to audit their building, to implement Retrofit, so they can reduce their consumption by 20% during 2020 and beyond. We have also issued a directive for green mobility, same thing. I will discuss this later, and I have different slides for that, where we let government lead by example, and then we leave the market, create itself. Next slide, please. When it comes to activation of the program in Dubai, we love to do M&V, measurement and verification. We monitor the progress of each program. We monitor the overall progress. We share the result also with the public through our website or annual report that is being published every year. We also intervene when we have to intervene for a certain program. If we need to go higher also in terms of saving, because there is an opportunity, if there is a technology that supports us, then we'll intervene positively and then change the strategy or change the target as well. As you can see, year by year, we're improving in our saving. We're basically achieving more than the targeted saving. We are also seeing that different programs started to contribute more and more to the saving, and the result is positive. As you can see, we have saved 5.3 terawatt hour in 2019. We also saved 9.6 billion imperial gallon. If you look at the percentage for the energy, which I said 5.3 terawatt hour, reduction was 11.3% versus business as usual. And for the water, which I said 9.6 billion imperial gallon, is 7.7 versus business as usual. And since 2011, we achieved 6.6 billion dirham saving, both operating and capital. Next slide, please. And evolution in energy management is basically part of what we do with respect to energy management. We branch from the energy management as well. We have a special strategy which is dedicated for water, called Integrated Water Resources Management Strategy. It's a holistic approach that we're trying to look at the strategy in different aspects, instead of looking at in fragmented approach, like only desalinated water separately, and treated water and groundwater are sitting on a separate path. We try to basically bring them together. We look at the whole water aspect as a cycle. Within this, we have looked at the water supply in detail. We have looked at the water demand, consumption. We have looked at the groundwater. We have looked at the nexus of water, energy, and food. We benchmark with other countries as well. And of course, the main thing is regulatory framework. We need to have a law that supports our energy strategy as a whole. Next slide, please. And when we got into the energy strategy implementation aspect, we have used our key data and information input that we gathered, so we can basically use them to create the whole water index, which will ultimately help us, draw the implementation plan for the whole water strategy that we have. So if you look at the key input data, I can say that 96% of potable water production is basically clipped with the energy production because of the combined cycle and so. 50% of potable water basically being used by residential, so this is huge. And in terms of treating the return water, 70% of potable water are being treated, and capture within the sewer network, which goes to the treated water plant, and then from the treated water plant, we use a circular aspect, or whatever we call it, circular water. So we can use it for multiple purpose, for irrigation of right-way, irrigation of public park, irrigation of public areas as well, irrigation of district, feeding district cooling as well. So we can use less desalinated water, which is more expensive, or it costs a lot of effort in terms of needing to build extra infrastructure in terms of greenhouse emission as well. So TSC does not basically have zero emission in terms of if you compare the plant of TSC and plant of desalination of water. This is our roadmap, our high-level roadmap. We know that many pieces have to be put together. Within this roadmap, we have given our stakeholder high voices in terms of taking full responsibility in terms of executing these projects. We have ongoing project, which is expanding the TSC plant so it can serve multiple purposes. We have ongoing project also to expand the network, the integration of private STP to Dubai Municipality STP. Also will make the whole thing integrated. We have also initiative which is in progress or plan, like hydraulic model, increasing the STP plant, converting the network into smart network, improving the quality of recycled water so we can use it for different purposes as well. And we continue to basically pursue our plan. We have a special committee looking into the progress of this strategy, and we report the progress every year. And now we can move to the next slide. Expected results are decreased of use desalinated water and increased use of recycled water. So the main objective, if you look at this slide, this basically sums up the whole thing. Currently, if we divide our share, you can see we are dependent on desalinated water by 54%, and TSC represent only 27%, and stormwater represent less percentage. If we continue this way, we know the share of desalinated water, which is very expensive, will be increased to more than 60%. And we realize that we need to increase the share of TSCE. So within this strategy that we're implementing, we are able to decrease the share of desal and increase the share of TSCE so we can achieve our targeted saving. Next slide, please. So I'd like now to move to different topic, which is green mobility. Also, we are big believer of green mobility, and we're starting as part of our strategic approach, electrification of vehicle, and green mobility has been part of our strategic approach. The main question or the main objective of this green mobility is basically it offers environmental benefit, it offers social benefit, economic benefit as well. It improves our cities, the image, quality of urban life as well. And when we implemented this strategy, we looked at the benchmark best practices as well. We understood that when we understand now, Norway is one of the countries that basically leading the way along with China. And bigger aspect, Norway has already banned use of or plan to ban use of fossil fuel vehicle in 2025. Their share of their annual sale for EV and hybrid is more than 50% versus the carbon car. China today has more than 500 or 400,000 EV buses. They have banned or restricted use of four-wheeler in many cities as well. And we know that there are many questions that we need to answer, or we have already answered it. What is the effective strategy that we need to use to decarbonize our transportation in Dubai? What is the specific specific initiative that we need to implement or policy on the horizon of 2025 and 2030 in order to increase the penetration of the green vehicle, whether it is hybrid or EV. So moving to the next slide. In 2015, we have issued a directive. This is part of governing by example as well, to support creating of green mobility market. We have issued a directive to government entity mandating all government entities in Dubai to use 10% out of their annual car purchase to be hybrid or EV. The strategy also include increasing the penetration of annual sale by 20% in 2025 and increasing it to 30% share by 2030. So we are also targeting to reach 10% penetration of hybrid and EV by 2030. Next slide, please. The result so far with respect to green mobility, even though it's been gradual, but it is positive. It indicates excellent result of the initiative with strong government push for green mobility being recognized in private sectors as well. So if you look at the slide on the left side, you can see that total EV hybrid vehicle was 435 only, and today we have reached around 8,000 total EV and hybrid. So there is a gradual improvement, and we expect this to increase in the next 5 years, year by year. And if you compare it to our target for government, in 2015, the share of EV and hybrid was 1.4 only out of total vehicles owned by government, and today we have reached, as we speak today, we're 8% share for the government fleet, and we are aiming to reach 10% by 2020, end of year 2020. Next slide, please. This is the last slide, and we know very well that the main recipe or the key element to the whole success of the vehicle is green mobility strategy, is to have a good partnership and alignment with the car dealers in terms of bringing different model to the region, in terms of promoting green vehicles in Dubai. We need to have alignment with the federal entities as well to build charging point not only in Dubai, within the whole Emirates as well, banks as well, and government entities such as RTA, Dubai Municipality, and DIWA, to ensure that government have the right policy in place, the right president initiative in place. So this is basically some of my presentation. At the end of my presentation, I can take some question and answer if you wish. Thank you very much for your good listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Faisal Al Rashid, for conducting a very enlightening session on the Dubai Energy Management Strategic Vision and the Plan. It was really very informative for all of us. Now let's take some questions. The first question is about the charging stations for the green mobility. As a part of the green mobility, when so many electric cars would be introduced in the market, obviously the number of petrol stations will reduce and the number of charging stations would be required, which could probably be in thousands. So what will be the impact on the demand side management because of this change?
Basically, we go back to our strategy, which is basically 10% penetration of EV and hybrid by 2030. So if we count maybe the future projection, I think it's let's assume it's going to be around 100,000. Let's say around 100,000 EV in the market by 2030, and looking at 10,000 EV charging points. So if you look at the average electric car consume approximately 0.2 kilowatt hour per kilometer, which is 20 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometer. I think if you do the math, this whole thing will be a lot less than 1% of our current basically installed capacity, which is more than 11,000 megawatt. So it definitely it will not have an effect even if we go a bit more, if we accelerate even more toward our strategy. I think it will not have a major effect on the grid.
I see. Thank you very much. That's really nice. The next question is about what policies and programs they need to be introduced to streamline and expand on the building retrofit initiatives.
Yes, we already have launched this program or this initiative in 2015 via basically launching a super ESCO, a semi-government company, just to develop the market, also to lead the market as well, to attract private ESCO also to come to the region and also to be established from within the region as well. And one thing we have considered as well to show government, to basically let government lead by example. We have issued a directive for government entities in Dubai, mandating all of them to basically to audit their building and also to do retrofit and reduce the consumption by 20% by 2020 from business as usual. And as we speak today, this has already been initiated, and many government projects also have been counted. And as we speak, also we have attracted many private entities as well through incentives, through awareness, through different campaigning that we have done within Dubai government through Ittihad ESCO, which is an arm of the Dubai Supreme Council of Energy. And if we look at our target of 30,000 buildings to be retrofitted by 2030, we have already reached more than 10,000 buildings since we started in 2015. So this is an ongoing effort, and we will continue to build on it. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. There is one more question from the audience. Are there any strategies for treating sewer water, and are there any future policies around that?
Yes, that's a good question. 3 years back, we have basically launched integrated water strategy. Basically to move or to shift from fragmented approach that we have in the past, which is desalinated water basically is functioning in isolation, and then we have treated water is functioning in isolation, and then we have also the groundwater. So when we look at integrated water strategy, we can connect all of them together so we can get to the ultimate objective, which is increase the share of treated water, which is less expensive in terms of infrastructure, in terms of operating costs as well. It does not basically in terms of environment as well, because we don't need the natural gas, to run a sewage plant. So it's a bio as far as we're concerned. the desalinated water reaching the end user, whether it is commercial building, whether it is residential building, it gets into the network as a sewer water, and then on the upstream STP will receive the water, will treat it, and then it will convert it to treated water. It will serve the community in Dubai, whether it is public park, right-of-ways in Dubai, government facilities, district cooling as well. So we're slowly working with certain stakeholders like Dubai municipality, like district cooling, to ensure that desal cost will be reduced and treated water share will be increased.
I see. Wonderful. That's really so nice to hear that. Thank you so much. The next question is that while there is so much of thrust and measure initiative from all the stakeholders to save energy across all the sectors, surprisingly, there is a small section in the society who feel that the energy efficiency transition is causing big changes and destroying economy and taking jobs from the people. So how do we counter such an argument from taking place?
Yes, that's a good question. I think if you look at the whole employment picture, there is a growth today. I mean, locally, we hear many stories across the world, but even locally, we have growth in solar project in Dubai. Some huge, humongous projects are already completed, and then we have bigger even projects are under construction, and within 1 year or so it will be completed. It will add more to the capacity, to the share of energy mixing devices. So these are behind these projects are, I mean, thousands of jobs. On top of that, also we have growth in building retrofit jobs. As I mentioned before, 10,000 buildings have already been completed. Then you have growth in EV manufacturing job, sale of EV as well. So these are all considered under green jobs. Green procurement also jobs are happening. I think many government, private sector are also considering green procurement when they do their annual purchasing. So evolution of green jobs or clean job growth are happening. No one can doubt that they are real and started to exceed the fossil fuel. I mean, if you look at the gas generation, diesel and so on. So yes, the capacity of the fossil fuel is still higher, much more than the fossil fuel. But if you consider the growth, whether here locally or even outside, the growth of and capacity of renewable energy is higher than fossil fuel. So the job that we lose in fossil fuel, I think, to be replaced by clean energy. So this is not an issue, and it will continue to be so as technology and advancement of technology happen.
I see. Okay, thank you so much. There is one more question. How much potential do the buildings hold for reducing emissions and the costs?
Yes, building are heavy user of energy. I mean, here in Dubai, if you look at the power generation capacity, basically a building accounts for 80% of this capacity. It uses 80% of the power generation and water generation capacity, of course. And it accounts for 60% of greenhouse gas emission. And not only operation-wise, also on construction, in order to construct the building, to build them, to bring the aluminum, the glass, steel, and put the building, I think it consumes a lot of energy. So without a doubt, I mean, with that itself, will not get the saving. When we have efficient building, green building, we will not only get the saving for one single year, I think for years to come. So it's important to design the building right, operate the building right and also maintain the building asset right. And here in Dubai, there are more than 135,000 buildings, and mostly they are designed based on the old code, and the code have gone through different upgradation and it became more stringent. So definitely there is an opportunity for us to convert these less efficient building to more efficient building, so they can serve the economy and serve the whole energy mix.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, Faisal, Mr. Faisal Al Rashid. That was really great having you with us today.